Alright, welcome back to Asian Station. This is Asian Station himself, Donny Nguyen. We just came back from a really long weekend. I went out to Orlando for a 3v3 case tournament, 3 case tournament, and immediately following the case tournament, we drove straight away from the venue and all the way down to Miami for a regional qualifier. Ended up getting all the way to the finals, and we split the finals with my own team, Team Oblivion. I had my good friends Jad and Jada Singh with me to get to the finals with, and we ended up beating Team Oblivion in the finals, and we just decided to split the case and run away. And in the regionals, I ended up getting 7th place with an X2 record. Very unfortunate though, with a game lost during round 4 that caused me to lose one of my matches. Due to a deck error, one of my opponents had a Time Thief Redroid of my DD Crow, and it went missing into the rest of the day. Luckily, I was able to replace it and be able to continue play from there. But overall, really good weekend for myself. I have this lovely regional mat, and with that, we can get into the deck profile. So I played Spright for the event, for both events. This is the exact same list going into both of them. No changes were made. So 3 blue, 3 jet, 2 reds, and a carrot. I also played 1 pixies. Pixies was intended so that I don't lose for free to things like Psychic and Punisher that's just too big for this deck, or something like the Arrival Cyberse, just in case I ran across it. Unfortunately, the one time I could have used it, I fought a Psychic and Punisher when they were lower by 2400 life, and he also had 2 Solemn Judgments behind him, so I wasn't able to clear it, but that was the intention use. Going forward, I'll probably keep Pixies just because he is an extra name, and his attack boost does have situations where it's applicable, and the 1400 damage it can be applied. It's nice. We also played the Frog Engine, so 3 swap, 1 dupe, 1 Ronin, and then the other fantastic starter that we have is 3 Deep Sea Diva. Obviously, you want to see these cards. A lot of people say that Dupe Frog's a brick. It kind of is, but there's a way around it, and I'll get to that in a second. 1 Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. This was used to great effect. One of my favorite things with Ibli was to make a elf IP and hand the opponent the Ibli. And if I couldn't see my swap engine for some reason, but Ibli became more valuable, like let's say I went up against a branded Despia, the intention is we give them the Ibli, they crash it into IP just to take 800 damage, and then Elf can revive the Ibli, and IP can link it off, and I can hand it back to the opponent just to keep them locked out of the game. A lot of times I did end up seeing the Swap Frog engine because it's something you can open, and then if you do see the Swap engine, then you can Gigantic Spright for the Ibli and hand that to them and keep your Toad engine for yourself. This has been my life-saving tech. It's been used to great effect, and has scared a lot of people. Everyone had to read this. But 3 Nemesis Flag and an Shadows. So Nemesis Flag is my ability to recycle banish cards. Nemesis Flag can summon himself for free, as long as you can take any one of your banished monsters and shuffle it back into your deck. He'll summon himself for free. And then he can look for Nemesis monsters, but it cannot be himself. So we grab Arch Nemesis Shadows. This is the brother of Protoss. Instead of banishing for 3 different attributes, we go after 3 different types. And with all the types in our deck, we can grab him pretty easily. It's a little bit difficult to pump him out turn 1, but he is extremely good in anywhere past turn 1. There is a combo that I'll show you at the end of the video that you can actually pump him out on turn 1. But it's a very specific situation, but it can cause great lockouts. I actually pulled the lockout one time, and it was in the mirror match. But I'll show you at the end of the video, so if you want to check it out. 2 Crossout Designator and a Call By. This is my reaction setup for my really weird hand trap line. So to pair with the Crossout and Call By, with only 2 Crossouts because it felt like 3 Call By at that point, we have 3 Ash, 2 Ogre, 2 DD Crow, 2 Effect Veilers, and only 1 Infinite Impermanence. Spacing is really tight with this deck because it is a 44 card list, so I had to make trimmings. Ash I always felt comfortable as a 3 of, and all of these got lowered by 1, and Imperm got lowered by 2 to make it a 44 card deck. Going forward, I'd be willing to experiment more with the ratios here, maybe bring Cross up to 3 and up the hand trap line. But you do want to see your Spright cards more so than your hand traps, because at the very least, the Spright cards are just so flexible in their utility. Spell card wise, we have 3 Spright starters and the Smashers, standard stuff. 2 Prosperities. In testing, I ended up seeing way too many Prosperities where I had like doubles, and I wanted to mitigate that option of seeing double. Prosperity is nice, it can help your consistency, but it's not necessarily mandatory because you have enough ways to get into the Spright engine that it's perfectly fine to see it at 2 or not have to see it in your opening hand. And then 2 Dark Ruler as the final slots. This is in case I unfortunately have to go second, and I can just hope to God I see the Dark Ruler, or hope to God I can see like 1 to 2 hand traps to be able to stop the opponent from getting too far, and then I can just fight back with Sprites. The utility that Spright provides is really good. Konami gave this deck everything it pretty much needed day 1. So, moving on to extra deck, it's 2 Gigantic Spright, 2 Spright Elves. Totally awesome. Very standard stuff here. This is the Hornsolayer deck. Cat Shark to help you with the OTKs and to help buff your Gigantic Spright to get over unnecessarily large bodies. We have a Zeus package inside Arsenal Zeus, Downer Magician, and Sky Cavalry. And then we have an IP line. So we choose between Nightmare Phoenix, Unicorn, and IP herself. Going forward, the Phoenix can be swapped out for a access code talker to help me finish the game. Just because the utility the access code provides is really good. I don't really like Avermax too much in my testing. Avermax felt like a win harder situation if you get to the IP. And with the board states that are established with what Spright can do, you're already in a really good position. And you'll be fine without it on the Avermax if you play it correctly. Almrush, I played him because he fills a really important role in fulfilling types. So he can help you load into Cyburst. If you started with the Swap Frog combo, there's also a way where if you only had Swap Frog and no other way to play the game, this helps you get into a full Spright combo. Hulk Fibrex, I never really had to use his utility to grab me hand traps. I have done it a couple times throughout the weekend. But a lot of times I would actually use this to help Gigantic Spright just be a much larger body and help go for an OTK push with the Cat Shark. And then Dark the Dark Charmer. His intention is to be used in the mirror match so you can grab their Spright cards so that you can start your Spright cards. But I've also used him in Telemans just to revive their early and be able to get into my own Gigantic Spright. He also had a lot of really good uses when I got Mischief of the Gnomes. And it was a Telement deck and they left him early and oops, thank you, bye. Moving on to side deck. Weirdly enough, I didn't see too much on my side today, and some of my side is just like utility things that is very generic stuff. It's very flexible things you can change. But 1 Pankratops and 2 Alpha Master Beasts. This is supposed to help my Telement matchup, just because they're big bodies, and then Pankratops especially can be used in the mirror match to help answer Toad and Elf. Of course, they have to not summon Dupe Frog, which some people were moving away from Dupe Frog because they didn't like the fact that it's a brick in hand. But I personally enjoy Dupe a lot. It saves me a lot of times. So 3 Dynamiscus. Again, this is to help my Telement match out up because wind is very annoying and I don't want to have to deal with it. So I had Telement very much like on my mind. This also fulfills the role of being an extra version of Spright Smashers, so I don't have to search it off of Jet if I open this. And this can help the Ebly lock out. As well as being a level 2, there's potential for it to revive, but I wasn't banking on using the revival ability. The last Dark Ruler, just in case I know that I'm now going second, I can maximize my chances of seeing Dark Ruler. Dark Ruler is better than hand traps because then I can lower my hand trap line and then not have to play into talents. 3 Twin Twister, Red Reboot, Feather Duster. This is more meant towards back row decks. Most of my matchups were either Sprites or Tearlaments, with a couple of interest synchros mixed in, so this never really had a chance to shine. If I came across more back row decks or like people who would play Mystic Mind, this is what it's here for. And then 3 Lightning Storm as generic, so I can choose between front row or back row. I did see it a couple times, but it was just used to kind of bait interaction, and I didn't really get a great chance to use its nuke ability until at least the regionals. I did come up across Exo-Sister, and I 2-0'd them because I Lightning Storm for back row and knocked out Exo-Sister Vadis, goes in match and a strike, along with Bolt, and then I had full Spright combo. So onto the combo, just to show real quick. This is a bit of a niche situation, but the combo is a 3-card setup. If you do this to your mirror match, you end up essentially winning. I did this, I pulled this off once, and it was the mirror match during the 3v3 case tournament, and my opponent had no way out of it. And I'll explain what he tried to do and what you would need to do. So we start with Swap Frog. I'll try to play upside down just to help out. So Swap Frog effect, and we'll just grab all the necessary cards now. Just to get everyone out of the way. So we use Swap Frog effect, and we throw out the Ronin as the first person. And then from here we can go into a Spright Blue. Blue's effect will go off and give us Jet. And then from here we can go into an Almirage, since we're not locked quite yet. And we load the Swap Frog in. And then from here we can also go Jet and give ourselves Spright Starter. You'll want Starter just to get the extra body. If you already had the extra body as the 4th or 5th card, you can actually grab Smashers instead at this point. And then from here we can use 2 of these people off and grab a Elf. So from this point on, you have your Toad combo set up here, because we're going to go Elf and grab Swap Frog. Swap Frog from here will then give us another copy of Swap Frog. From here we banish it and get the Ronin back. And then we've achieved Toad. So first part of the combo is complete. We have Toad on field. From here we can then go Nemesis Flag and put the Swap Frog back. Nemesis Flag will then give us one of the biggest pieces of this combo, is Yugioh. And then from here, we actually get rid of the flag on the field of the Spright Blue and the Almirage. So we have 3 different types: Pyro, Thunder, Cyberse. And we keep Yugioh off to the side. And then this is where we get the extra body necessary, so we Spright Starters. And we give ourselves any Spright name that we possibly want or need. I normally go for red, because red is now an extra body and we can res it if necessary. You can also grab another copy of blue in this case, just so that if you need to be able to continue and your opponent can't, you can use blue to give yourself ahead of the game. So from there we have an empty graveyard, we have the 1 Spright Starter, and this is currently our board state. And we make Gigantic Spright. From here, Gigantic Spright's effect will activate, and we're under protection of Toad. Obviously, this is susceptible. In my case, my opponent opened Dark Ruler and top decks Veiler, so he tried to best to break out of his luck, but not to great success. So, in other words, this is actually a way to beat Dark Ruler. So from here, we Gigantic Spright into Ibli, and then we link these off, and we grab IP Masquerena. From here, Ibli is going to be handed off to your opponent. I generally just like to put it in the middle. And the last thing that needs to happen here is we get to use the Shadows, and we get to say Thunder. There's only 1 Thunder, it's going to be your Elf, so we give up the ability to res to lock out every single Spright extender that your opponent has and turn off starter. A lot of people play, I think that's 13 ways into Spright between 3 starters and all the main deck monsters. So you've turned off over 25% of their deck essentially. And when you start your turn, just to make sure the Ibli can't get past you, Totally Awesome's effect will give you a Duke Frog. In my situation, my opponent did have the Dark Ruler. So he Dark Rulers me, normal summons an effect failure, and gets rid of the Ibli to make a Hauke Fibrex. He summons a Deep Sea Diva and then tries to go into his own copy of Gigantic Spright. Unfortunately, he can't though because I have Declare Thunder. And realizing that, he ends up losing. Just because this board's already established well enough to where I can get back into the game very easily. And with all of the bodies that I've supplied on here, and the fact that Totally Awesome, should he live, be able to summon another Swap Frog because I've recycled my economy back, I am able to easily get into the game and OTK him and he's scooped. But that's what the combo is. It's very degenerate but very funny because it's another way to beat getting Dark Ruler. Ibli's my main star for beating Dark Ruler. But that is the end of this. In terms of the matches that I lost against Adventure Spright. I did get greedy. I had a chance to try to play back, but it would have ultimately ended in my loss. This was in top 4. It was the only match I lost during the case tournament, and my teammates ended up winning it out for me and carrying me into the finals. As for the regionals, I lost to the eventual second place. It was a Taylor Mytherion. This was during round 4 when I get deck checked, only to find out that my opponent had earlier in the day Time Thief Reader to DD Crow, and during my deck check I was missing a DD Crow in my main deck and ate a game loss for it. So I started on the back foot and ended up losing that match. The other match I lost was Spright. It was a mirror match, very unfortunate for me because I ended up opening both Ibli and Nishados. Not a great way to play that. And he had full Spright combo. So, but yeah, that's the end of the deck profile. Shoutouts to Team Oblivion for helping me out with the sponsors. Shout out to my teammates, Jad Andry and Nicholas Jettising. And shoutouts to the community in general. I love this game. I love seeing weird ways to play this game, and I also like being the weird one myself. This is honestly the first time I've done something off the beaten path and not try to play something standard. So this was something very fun for me. So with that, until next time, I will be in YCS Niagara. So hopefully I'll see you guys there.